This is my video analysis on my A2 music video and a production log on how I accomplished the video and the different techniques I used within each shot. So to talk a bit about the video, green screen was a key aspect used throughout, and in this beginning part of the video I'm going to go over how I made some of the shots and the different programs I used within After Effects to accomplish them. So to start off with, I'm going to show a little scene from my music video which I incorporated the green screen, and one of my favourite scenes. So here it is. Right, so let me just go back a bit. And I'm going to go over how I made that scene in this video. So to start off with, I had the footage, the unedited standard footage here. I'll just play that quickly. And it's just literally my actor lip syncing in front of a green screen. So the first step was to use the inbuilt software within After Effects called Keylight, which is used for removing green in green screens. So I just want to drag that over here and select this screen color here, which is going to take out the green. And what you have to do is you have to choose a mid-tone, so that way it has a good balance. So I'm going to choose around there. And as you can see, it's already cut out the majority of the green. There's lots of problems, as you can probably tell, around his jacket and lots of noise. So what I need to do next is go on to this little menu here and press Screen Matte. What that's going to do is that's going to give me an overall idea of the color balance between the white and the black, and I could definitely see that it's very uneven, and that's due to bad lighting. So luckily there's a way to fix this, and to do that I have to go into Screen Matte and change this clip black to a point where I can't see any black anymore. And once that's done, I have to go to clip white and change that to a point where it's all white, and that's about there. I'm fairly happy with that. And I'm also going to add a mask which is just going to cut out the actor, and yep, once that's done, he's now cut out, and click on final result, and as you can tell, you've got a much better cut of the actor. Now the next step is importing the background footage, and in this particular case I used a bokeh city lighting stock footage, as you can see here, which looks fairly realistic because it mimics the natural lens blur of a DSLR camera. So I got that online, it's free stock footage, and I'm just going to put that in the background now. So here we have the stock footage, it cuts around there, and right now it's got no movement to it. There's no movement in the stock footage, it doesn't look particularly realistic. So the next thing I did was add a wiggle to the actor and to the background stock footage, and what that is going to do ultimately is move it around quite randomly, and that, as you'll see when I click on it. So if I click on the wiggle now, wiggle transform, now the actor has some, let me put it on again. Right, so if I just go into the city thing here, now it has a lot more movement to the shot, and as you can already tell, it looks much more realistic because it imitates a moving camera. So once that was done and we had this moving camera, the next step was to do color grading, and this is one of the most important steps in green screen chroma keying. Because if I go back to the original shot, which is here, it blends in a lot better because it's all color graded. And how I did that was, first of all, going to the actor and color grading him. But the first step before I do that is I have to smooth out these edges. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to go up into Keylight and add some softness to his face and the edges, and also add a bit of a clip rollback. So all this is doing is shrinking the edges, so it is cutting out the imperfections of the key and adding a bit more softness to make it all blend in together better. So I'm happy with that key now, and the next step is the color grading. So I'm going to first of all adjust the saturation and lightness. You can probably tell that the background seems very saturated, and although it looks very saturated now, once I put it into its final composition, I will take out the saturation and that will balance everything out. So this beginning shot is not meant to look particularly realistic. So once I adjusted the saturation and reduce the lightness, I'm going to reduce all this noise on the jacket. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to I'm going to select this remove grain right here and drag it onto my actor. And if I click onto final output, you can see that a lot of the grain's been reduced and it gives a more balanced look to the image. Then the next step was to make everything blend in much better. Is in this background shot, I'm going to take out a mask of these lights here, and I'm going to choose around that much. I'm quite happy with, so that much light, and then copy and paste it, and that will ultimately look like this. And what I've done here is I've made it much larger, and I've actually added a subtraction layer to it. So if I go here and blending modes, I put on the subtraction layer add. If I put it onto normal, you'll see that doesn't blend in nearly as well. But if I go to back there onto add, it's what gives it that light look. And what it's actually doing is it's only keeping the light in there. And that combined with the background layer, I'll just put on now in full screen, combined with this background layer, allows for the image to blend in much better because you're bringing in light from the back to the front, which is giving a much cooler look. And then to finish off the shot, I brought it back into my final composition and here, and it looks very different here because I've removed the saturation and I've also cut out his jacket as there was too much noise, and I've added a vignette. So when I play it now in the final shot, it really does blend in very nicely. And this is the premise I use for all my green screen shots of how I did them. And the next shot I'm going to be going on over is a live action shot, because I use multiple editing techniques in live action shots as well. So to go back onto my final video and go near the beginning, around here, I'll say. So here, these are all live action shots. Now if you notice, these shots are extremely still, almost like they're on a tracking camera or a dolly of some sort, and that was extremely purposeful. And how I managed to do that was I filmed in a style that it was all handheld, and my hand was very shaky, although in post-production in After Effects I was able to cut out all the shake using a inbuilt plugin called Warp Stabilizer. Now to give you an example of what Warp Stabilizer is, here's some shots from the video. So I'm just going to play this shot here and this one coming up next. So here in this shot we can see it's extremely still. There's virtually no shake, and once it renders you'll be able to see it properly. So as this is rendering, I'll just wait for it to finish. Right, so if we play that back now, you'll see it's extremely still, there's no shake at all. And if I remove the Warp Stabilizer, which is up here, you'll suddenly see that there's far more shake that's being introduced. And I'm just going to play that back again. So this is without the Warp Stabilizer. So what this Warp Stabilizer is basically doing is analysing each frame and interpreting where the camera should be. And that's what gives it that very detailed look. And this is also how it's done. You can see here, these are all 3D tracking points. And 3D tracking is actually a feature I use in a lot of other shots, but these tracking points allow for After Effects to interpret where each pixel should be in order to give it that very still look. So let me just turn it off. And that's the Warp Stabilizer. And I use that in a multitude of shots, and most of my outdoor shots as well. That was used in all. Let me get them up. So all these beginning shots here, I use the once it renders, I use Warp Stabilizer in all these, and that's what also gives them that very still look.